Freeman's verbal guidance is dedicated to helping people awaken the power of their own mind through motivation, conscious thinking, inner healing, spiritual wisdom, and personal transformation. This channel explores mindset, manifestation, self-belief, peace, healing, and the limitless potential within all of us. Your mind is more powerful than you realise. Hello and welcome back to the channel for part 4 of some teachings that I've learned from the Little Money Bible written by Stuart Wilde. You can find this on audiobook on the Master Key Society, along with loads of other people: Neville Goddard, Joseph Murphy, Francis Chauvel Shin. That's one that I will get to probably after I've done this series, because your word is a spell. Alright, but anyway, let's get into today's one, part 4, and we're going to talk about the the fear of lack. You know, the fear of lack, fearing not having enough. Because when people believe there is never enough, not enough money, or not enough opportunity, not enough security, not enough success, they'll often begin living from a state of inner survival. Alright, and the survival energy changes the way people think. When someone lives in survival mode for too long, the mind becomes tense and the body becomes tense. Life begins feeling like a constant uphill struggle. You know, people stop living fully and start merely coping. You know, sadly, many people live this way for years, and they're always worrying, always rushing, always fearing what might happen next. But there's something important to understand here. The mind cannot create clearly when it is constantly overwhelmed by fear, because fear narrows perception. It causes people to focus on only immediate problems instead of long-term possibilities. And this is why stress around money often becomes a cycle. You know, a fearful mind will make fearful decisions, and fearful decisions often create more fear. And again, this doesn't mean people are weak. You know, life can place enormous pressure on people. You know, but understanding how fear affects the mind is empowering, because awareness gives us a chance to interrupt the cycle. And one of the biggest shifts a person can make is moving from scarcity into possibility thinking. You know, scarcity says there's never enough. Life is against me. Other people succeed, but not me. Whereas possibility will say, you know, there may be another way. I can learn. I can grow. My situation is not my final destination. Yeah, the difference in thinking may seem small, but emotionally it changes everything, because thoughts create emotional states, and emotional states influence behaviour. Alright, imagine two people facing the same challenge. One collapses internally and believes all hope is gone, whereas the other feels fear too, but still believes that change is possible. Which person is more likely to notice the opportunities? Which person is more likely to keep trying? You know, which person is more likely to adapt, to learn and grow? And this is why hope matters. Not fantasy, not a denial of reality, but grounded hope. The kind of hope that says, I refuse to believe this is the end of my story. Because it's not. And many people need to hear that. Because society often teaches people to measure their worth by their financial status, by their possessions, by their appearance, by comparison. But comparison is dangerous to the human spirit. There'll always be someone with more money, a bigger house, a newer car, more status. If people constantly compare themselves externally, peace becomes impossible. And what's tragic in that is many people spend years chasing appearances while feeling empty internally. They look successful but feel exhausted, because external wealth without inner peace often creates imbalance. And that's why true abundance must include emotional well-being, which is peace, purpose, connection, health, meaning. Otherwise, no amount of money ever feels like enough. And another thing worth discussing is this, that many people unconsciously attach their identity to struggle, especially those who have experienced hardship for a long time. Struggle becomes familiar to them, and familiar emotions can become addictive psychologically. Not because people enjoy suffering, but because the nervous system becomes conditioned to it. So when peace finally appears, it can actually feel uncomfortable at first. And this is why healing requires patience. The mind and body need time to adjust to new emotional states. A person who's lived in fear for years may need time to learn how to feel safe again. Time to trust themselves again. Time to believe life can improve again. And that's alright. Healing is not weakness. Healing is actually courage. Because it takes courage to challenge old beliefs. It takes courage to stop repeating destructive stories internally. And perhaps one of the most destructive stories many people carry is I'm not enough. Or I'm not intelligent enough. I'm not talented enough. Not worthy enough. Not successful enough. But those beliefs are not objective truth. They're just emotional conditioning. And once people begin questioning those beliefs, transformation can begin. Because confidence is not something people are born with permanently. Confidence is built. And it's built through action, built through growth, through experiences, and through learning to trust yourself little by little. And this connects deeply to money. Because people who constantly feel powerless often struggle to take empowered action financially. And fear keeps them frozen. Self-belief creates movement. This does not mean becoming reckless. It means developing a healthier relationship with possibility. A healthier relationship with yourself. A healthier relationship with your life in general. When you do that, something beautiful begins to happen. When people stop operating entirely from fear. Their energy changes. They speak different, walk different, think differently. There's less desperation, less panic, there's less emotional chaos. And desperation is important to talk about, because desperation often pushes opportunities away. People can feel desperate energy, whether in business or relationships or life in general. Desperation creates pressure, but calm confidence creates trust. That's why emotionally grounded people often attract healthier outcomes. Not because their life becomes perfect, but because their inner state becomes steadier. And steady people make clearer decisions. So let's be honest here, financial growth still requires effort, learning, discipline, responsibility, consistency. You keep doing them things. You'll just, when you start living in that way, these stuff will just start coming across you. You'll start finding it, and you'll start learning. You'll start finding self-discipline, responsibility, consistency. But emotional energy affects how sustainable that effort becomes. Fear burns people out, whereas purpose energizes them. That's why finding meaning in what you do matters so much. People thrive when they feel connected to purpose, when they feel they are contributing something valuable, when their life feels meaningful beyond survival alone. And perhaps this is the deeper truth about abundance. Abundance is not only about receiving, it's also becoming. It is also becoming calmer, wiser, stronger, more conscious, more emotionally free. Because when the mind becomes healthier, life often begins opening in unexpected ways. Even during difficult seasons, inner peace becomes possible. Not because circumstances are perfect, but because the person is no longer completely controlled by fear. And that is the real power. The power to remain centered while life changes around you. The power to believe in possibility even after disappointment. The power to continue growing even after hardship. And maybe tonight that is the message for you. You are not powerless. Your past does not have to imprison your future. Your current circumstances don't have to define your full potential. And the relationship you build with your own mind may become one of the most important relationships of your life. And I've done this myself. I've had to do this myself. And that's why I'm now in the position that I'm in. And I just want to get it out and educate you people on how you can literally change your life around by changing your energy field and your attitude towards money and what money is. Alright, because it is energy. So I will come back again with part 5. I look forward to you tuning in. Thank you very much for listening tonight. And remember this, abundance begins the moment fear stops controlling your identity. You are more powerful than you will ever believe. Believe that. Thanks for watching.